when I've got something I'm worried about, I always go and talk to Gary, because I'm used to Gary's my best friend. Where's your wooden spoons, Gaz? Wooden spoons.
In that one. They were in that one.
We're totally different. Gary would rather go home and have a quiet night in, and where I'd rather be dashing about the Trafford Centre or Tesco's. That's a best day, I ain't wooden spoon.
Swear. Are you very familiar with your kitchen, Gary?
No, not really. There's no kitchen in the world without a wooden spoon.
Do you know Gary only heats the rooms that he lives in?
He's been reading too many magazines.
We used to share rooms when we used to go away with the teams. It got to the point where Gary was going to bed at 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I was watching the telly, still awake, on the phone to Victoria at 11:30, 12, and then he'd be up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd want to lie until 10, 11. So it didn't really work out, so he chucked me out. Couple? Yeah, like the old married couple. Tremendous pasta, isn't it?
That's what I do. Extra eat it all or what?
No, you don't have to eat it all.
Okay, do you want? I won't eat them.
Don't eat it all, because then you won't be that really the main.
If David cooks for you here, do you think that might be perceived as an effeminate thing to do? But if you owned a string of restaurants, that wouldn't be an effeminate thing to do.
Yeah, but it'd be okay if David was cooking for Bex. That's burning. Bex says that's burning.
What's burning?
That pan there.
It's got potatoes in it.
What's that burning?
Huh?
It just says it just flamed off.
What's burning?
Probably not burning.
That underneath, see that?
Huh?
What is it, that?
Flame?
It's supposed to be like that. It's okay cooking for me, but not getting filmed cooking for me. So nobody knows about it, you know what I mean?
You're juggling it, yeah.
You can't get out of it.
Do you think it's feminine if you're around cooking for me?
No, I think it's friendly.
You will be fair opinion. Friendly?
I don't just come round to cook for you.
I know you don't, no. But this is how this is.
I'm staying here, that's why I'm cooking.
I know you're staying here, and don't get me wrong, you don't come round here and cook every night, do you?
Most of it.
Well, you have done so far, but... if it's already goes...
I'm kind of curious now about my awareness of Richard Hamilton. I mean, it is work that I know from the early 70s. I was aware of pop. I mean, pop was as a teenager growing up in Manchester, it was an aesthetic which I could understand. And so I would look at pop books. I read enough to kind of understand Richard Hamilton's place as perhaps the godfather of pop, and I remember particularly in a book seeing Hamilton's definition of pop and the 10 or 11 kind of criteria: sexy, mass-produced, disposable, big business, glamorous. That made a very big impression upon me. This particular work by Hamilton. This is the toaster. It's a screen print, litho print. It has a foil. Applied, I knew it first probably round about 75. I saw it in a book, Manchester Polytechnic Graphics Department in the library, and it was in a pop art book. It might have even been a Hamilton book, I don't know. I became aware what influence it had been on me a long time later, like 25 years later. I saw it that day and realised how much it had influenced my own work. What distinguished this for me from other pop art works was that I didn't see any irony in it. You know, I was aware enough to realise, you know, when I was 20, that a lot of the American pop art had this degree of irony, and I didn't sense that in this piece. I sensed it more as an acknowledgement through fine art of the applied arts, and I sensed that Hamilton was, in a way, acknowledging the design quality of Dieter Rams's original, the toaster itself, and in a way celebrating that as an everyday object that was kind of fulfilling the principles, the idealism of modernism in a real everyday functional item. And then it was the presentation.
One day, a young boy said to me, "Why don't you photograph graffiti?" And he opened his notebook, and he had these drawings in his notebook, and he showed me that he put the drawing on the wall. And I'm like, "You mean you designed the pieces? You designed this before you put it?" I mean, for me, I thought it was pure vandalism. And the minute that I understood that there was a systematic designing and painting on the wall, I became fascinated by it. Make that chicken and join and ride. 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 Some people think that graffiti is anything that is, I would say, illegal or put up without permission. But other people call murals that, like very detailed murals, can be called graffiti. I mean, there isn't any really one definition of graffiti. Graffiti artists appropriate public space. And whereas people don't object to advertising, say, because they feel that, well, people have paid for a billboard or wherever they're going to put their advertising, they object to people just taking over public space for their own purposes. I think the objection comes because they feel that something is out of control.
Any specific training at art school, but actually various tutors, visiting artists would say various things that would go into my kind of technical handbook. Absolutely. But actually also there are great art shops. A.K. Fitzpatrick, for example, where the staff are unbelievably knowledgeable, and if you want to know how to do something with paint or surface, they're very good on that.
It's not something you've ever kind of like with Jason showed us a kind of return to oil. He left painting oil for a few years and kind of went back to it. Well, I think it was those, almost like those rules or those constrictions that he placed upon himself in order to kind of make a certain mark. Yeah, and in the course of making those cast works at the front, or the pigment works, where there's almost like a modelling paste or some other kind of material, that he was grasping that, getting to grips with that, and had left oil for a while, let's say for 3 or 4 years. But you've never done that. You've always used oil, but
yes, I use acrylic as well, often as a colour ground, just a very flat base to spring on.
Because that's interesting, because I mean, certainly with some of your work, I associate it with a kind of depth that, with a background like work like that.
Well, that's actually a pale green acrylic ground put on with a roller, but then this black washy stuff is really, really watered down oil paint that collapses because the pigment isn't being held properly, and blah, 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 technical stuff. Yeah. And then oil paint on top. But I've never actually moved acrylic around and tried to make it do things that oil paint can do, because why would you when oil paint can do that?
Yeah.
And look better. I think you find out as you go along. I don't remember any specific training at art school, but actually various tutors, visiting artists would say various things that would go into my kind of technical handbook at the back of my head. But actually also there are great art shops. A.K. Fitzpatrick, for example, where the staff are unbelievably knowledgeable, and if you want to know how to do something with
it, stop it, it's not working. All of my feelings up there, yeah. I can never compromise with you, boy. It's like blood out of stone now. Dropping every memory we had, am I gonna pick it up? I don't know. Cause I ain't feeling you right now. I'm in love and it's not with you no more. Just stay and see how far for us. Nobody's gonna know.